everyone, it's Carolyn here to share more channeled messages to help you along your awakening and ascension journey. So today, Jennifer and I have gotten together again and we have another channel for you. We're actually having a conversation, and then as you know, information comes through and we will share that with you as well. So first of all, I have been on vacation, and that's why I didn't have a video last week. A couple of you had asked me about that and wondered if I was okay. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. But I was on vacation. I was in New Mexico, and it was quite it's a vacation, but it was also very much a spiritual journey. I've took some video clips. I ended up going to Chaco Canyon, and that was kind of a series of over the last year, knowing I needed to go. But I also took some video that I'm going to try to put into a larger video to present to you at some point, either at the end of another video or maybe on its own. Anyway, that's where I've been, and it was an amazing experience. So now I'm all back ready for our Midwest winters. And they have started as of today. So that said, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer the Light Keepers channels to help you along your life journey, your ascension journey, and your awakening journey. And for those of you who are new, down below in the description box, you can click on a link and it'll take you directly to my website that offers a free video on flow, how to create that in your body for health and wellness, because it's really important during these times. It doesn't even matter if you're going through the awakening journey. We all need to create flow in our body for health and wellness. But then what it does is it sends you over to my email list where you receive a channeled message a week, typically Fridays, of support for the following week from the Light Keepers. They're beautiful. So I hope you'll join me there too. Okay, so today I'm going to read a few things that I wrote down that we are covering. Again, we tend to cover a lot of ground, and we don't really know what we're going to be talking about in each of our videos. So some of the things that we touch on, and there is an overarching theme of the times that we are in and what we're noticing, and then what we're doing is we're taking what we're noticing, and then we're actually getting more information about that. So we're really talking about the times that we're in presently, November, December time frame, just these times collectively. We're talking about the idea, again, we go back to this idea of convergence, the pieces of us returning to us. And we know in this awakening journey, those of you going through it, big part of this is reclaiming who we know we are, but also reclaiming aspects of ourselves, understanding past lives, understanding current experiences we've had from the inside out to be able to become more whole in ourselves. This is very much an idea that we have a conversation around of returning aspects of ourselves for the wholeness of who we are, which can very much include the past life aspects. So we're hitting on that today, but then within that, we touch on the galactic present, and I launch into some channeling with respect to what's happening out there now and the eagerness that is being sensed. We also segue into how this journey works, how physical it can be, how emotional it can be. But what we're talking about now is choices on our spiritual journey. What do we want to experience? What don't we want to experience? And you start learning that as you go through the process of awakening. And we talk a lot about manifesting in our 3D. I mean, it's a big topic, right? And that we can, and many of us know that we can create the life we want or the things we want, the experiences we want by working from the inside out. Well, that's in our 3D world that we always talk about that, right? But what if we can manifest our own spiritual awakening journey, what we want to experience and the things we don't want to experience? So we're going to hit on that. And I think it's a really interesting topic as well. And then what they're talking about also overarchingly in this video is the environment is set up for us, for the light workers. The environment is set up. So we talk a lot about that and some of the visuals that I receive along the way. One more thing before we get going. I just want to remind you, the holidays are coming up. Yes, for many of us, the holidays are coming up. That said, if you're looking for gifts for people, something unique, I create gift cards for all of my services. And the channeled messages session, whether it be one-on-one on the phone or Zoom if you're international, or a document, are the most popular. People love these as gifts. So I'm just going to tell you, I will create a beautiful gift card for you and no extra cost. And then what you'll do is you'll give me that individual's name. I'll put the name on the card. I'll create a pretty card for you to send it over in a electronic format. and then you can present the gift to them. But they've been very popular. Possibly somebody you keep buying the same gifts for and you want something really different this time. So check it out on my purplerainhealing.com website. Again, you can pick any of the services, but what I have found is the channeled messages, whether it's on the phone or in document form, are super popular. So that's it. I'll create you a nice gift card to give to them. All right, we're going to get going on the video. I'm going to send you over and let you listen to that. And then I'm going to wrap up with you at the end with any closing comments. So thank you so much for joining me today.
But it's so funny. It's just been kind of like all over the place. I think there's such an effort to bring things back in. Together. I think there's so many things happening. I feel like we've been talking about merging.
Yes.
That is still correct, but there's so much to it. And I keep realizing there's just more and more and more and more layers and layers and layers, And
it's incredibly complex is what I've started to realize.
Yes.
Because there's I think we can boil down the awakening journey to stages in a way, but those stages, it's like there's stages that we go through, but overarching all of it and encompassing all of it is all this other stuff.
Yes.
That is, okay, they're kind of showing this like, you have your process of awakening. We have common things that happen within the framework of our individual journey. But then there's all this external, like, it feels like one-off information, one-off kinds of things happening, that how do you put it into the framework of understanding how it fits into that process? And you can't.
Yeah, it's really, right now, I think, okay, so I'm trying to articulate this concept, but there's so much that goes on, and I am a curious person and I am interested. And I like to see things that stimulate my mind or my interest or amuse me or make me smile or, just things like that, that are just, that I like to observe, watch, see. But I've begun to realize there's some things that I prefer not to really know. And I think that they are happening whether I engage my mind, my feelings into it or not. And there are still aspects of me that are dealing with it. But when I bring my human into it, the sensitivities of being human, like things that make you feel bad for other people or that just hurt your heart to know that it had happened, I'm beginning to think, I really don't necessarily need to bring that in so much into the awareness of this aspect.
So it's really interesting you bring this up, because literally just this morning, I was having a conversation with a friend who we kind of see things, we experience things differently in a similar circumstance, but it's about the level of involvement that we have in that circumstance. And what I have realized for myself, and it's different for everybody, but to your point is, the things that I need to have happen in this awakening journey are going to happen regardless of me engaging in them and having to experience them in a human, maybe 3D or physical, emotional way. And my proof of that is, we know, well, I can use my own journey as an example. The awakening journey from 2001 to 2015, I was what I would call unconsciously conscious. Okay. I had started the awakening journey in 2001. I didn't have a clue what it was until I went through my dark night of the soul in 2016. And then I became consciously conscious. Okay. So my point in that is I didn't know what I was doing 2001 to 2015, but it was all happening the way it was meant to. I didn't have the connection into like what you're talking about of the depth of that. And yet it was still occurring. So I do feel, to your point, and it's interesting this is coming up, that I'm just to say we have choices, like how involved we get and how much we take in, because it's still, everything is still going to occur the way it needs to. Now, I don't think when we have innermost kinds of things for our own internal journey that we need to clear and work on and all of that, I don't think that's negotiable. They just said the word
Right.
negotiable. That's our stuff. But when it comes to the other and
Mhm.
even those close to us, I think we have a choice.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. Now, there is something about the waking up process too, that once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep, right? But as you're like what you were talking about, we realize when we wake up, we look back in our lives, like you said, we didn't know what we were doing, but we can recall, okay, when that really difficult thing happened in my life and gave me a choice point, I was doing X, Y, and Z for my shadow work or for my, you can identify retrospect what
Absolutely.
you were doing and you were still doing it. But sometimes now that feels like nostalgic, like I was kind of in an ignorant bliss then because I didn't really know kind of all of the stuff that was going on behind it, but yet I was still doing it, right? It wasn't like you're bypassing or not doing it. You've been doing it all along. And as you wake up, I think you start to see into more depth, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Absolutely.
And sometimes that depth is not, it does kind of feel like maybe it was easier not to know some of this stuff, right? Even though I was still dealing with it and went through a really ugly divorce, and I know that that was clearing all kinds of stuff ancestrally too. I didn't know it at the time and it wasn't easy, but it was still happening, right?
Exactly. And you know what they're showing me? They're showing me, as you're talking, Alice in Wonderland and going down the rabbit hole. To that end, as we wake up, we have choices. How far do we go down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
But you're right. It's still
So
happening.
it's like a balance now, like, what do I want to do? How do I want to do this? Do I want to place myself in a state where I know that I am allowing myself to stay more in the innocent kind of human side of it and go through the process? Is that bypassing? Is that being in denial or oblivious, like, or do I want to allow that for myself consciously? Do I consciously want to allow myself to be like that, knowing that that's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for my own happiness, well-being, this kind of thing? Or do I want to know exactly what's going on all levels, all the history behind it? Because some of these things have some pretty ugly history that's attached to it, right?
Right.
And although you may have lived it then, or one of your ancestors or something, or you are living it in another, sometimes it's really rough to bring all of that stuff into this while you're processing and know all of that that's actually attached to it. It's a lot.
Totally
right?
agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we have to draw our own lines. And I think oftentimes what happens in this journey is we think everything's being done to us and we don't have any control or ability to participate, say, no, I'm not going there. Or to what degree we go there. I do get a sense of that a lot with people, is that it's just being done to me, so I have to take it. I don't think that's accurate. But as we continue to progress, we start realizing our level of involvement. And I think it also takes some level of experience in the journey as well to understand that, because it's such a new thing to us that we think, oh, it's just, okay, I'm in this and now it's just happening. But then that turns into more of a feeling like a victim of this process, when in reality, to me, we're not a victim. We're actually, we can participate in it, and I think make it a more beautiful process.
I agree. And I think that's part of, I'm feeling like, okay, as I'm figuring this out, I feel like, okay, this is just another level of discernment, maybe a refinement of even of mastery in itself.
Yes.
Is trying to now come back to some form of center point.
Yes.
Right. And decide how you want to have this experience, even having an understanding that there's much more going on. But how much of it do you want to, how do you want to have this? How do you want to go through this?
Yes. And so that ties directly to, if you think about how we talk about our 3D human experience, that we're the creator, we can manifest, right? Yeah. We're creating our own reality. Well, if we're able to do that, and that's the idea of this human journey and we can manifest our desires and our needs and our wants, well, we should be able to do that then also in the spiritual journey. So it's not separate.
No, yeah, and it's interesting, because it's I can watch things manifest here. I can also tap in and see other places where I'm making decisions, and I'm watching in real time the manifesting there, and it is exciting. It just show you the level at which you're playing with and what you're capable of doing. But I've also felt like there is a point at which other environments brought into this one. So it's kind of like getting out of this one and starting to, all of your limitations drop away, right?
Yeah.
But until this entire reality drops away, you see, there's got to be a balance there somehow, because you either completely lose it or the limitations in this reality start to become incredibly frustrating when you're trying to participate in the other ones more fully. Do you see what I'm saying?
Totally.
It's hard on this unless you're just saying, okay, my desire is to completely drop this one, right? That's a big commitment there too, right?
Exactly. So, and you know what they're showing me as you're talking? It's so funny. They said it's a choice as to which rides you take, and they're showing Disneyland and a circus and all these rides. It's like you come into the environment, okay, the awakening journey or Disneyland, and you make choices. Are you going to go on all those rides or not? And so you make choices. And so to the point that you're making, how far do you go? How deep do you go? How overwhelmed do you become, or how underwhelmed do you become, and add more things to it? So exactly. I was going to add something real quickly too, so I don't forget. You were mentioning bypassing earlier. You briefly mentioned that. So what came into my mindset was, you may think you're bypassing, or you might not even be consciously aware of it. Okay, right? We ignore things. We don't deal with it. But they said, because regardless, if you're meant to go through that, you're going to get grabbed back. Like they showed a big hand grabbing you back, like down the road, and like, no, you can't do that. That won't happen if you're supposed to experience it. So bypassing is kind of a thing, but it then becomes to a point where it's not, because you have to experience it. So you get spirit yanks you back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think sometimes with the yank back, it becomes a little bit more difficult than it would have, had to have been.
Totally.
So, I look at it sometimes like, okay, that doesn't feel good to me. And sometimes it's like, is it really something? Must I get in that and experience it? Sometimes I say, it doesn't feel good to me, so I'm going to say no.
Yes.
Right? And I do this. So that's sometimes saying, okay, is that bypassing me, or is that using my discernment and making a choice?
That's a
right?
Very good point.
So
Absolutely.
the hand that comes back, you can say no to the hand too, right? No, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to I don't want to have that experience. I don't feel like that is serves me or anybody else, right? Okay. So sometimes I kind of go through these. Now, this being said, I've had some very beautiful experiences. There's some really amazing, beautiful things going on too that I've been able to tap into. And I've had so much this past year that just seems like very dark, some of these very vile, kind of sleazy energies of things that are going on that are just, really, I can say maybe throughout most of my life, I've been sheltered from these. I haven't really experience them in this experience, or even on an energetic level. I don't really even feel like I was maybe even astrally or other dimensionally really involved in it too much, because I wasn't. A lot of these energies are new to me.
Yes.
So
yes, very much agree.
So that kind of sounded like, oh my goodness, so it's been very like that on that level, with a lot of these feelings of disgust and repulsion, and it brings up a lot of judgment too. But it's a lot of like this kind of abusive, demeaning, really nasty, narcissistic kind of stuff. And I'm like saying, at this point, I'm like, even far before this, but I said, I really don't want to dive into all of that. It doesn't feel good. I don't find that it serves anybody either. So that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh. But in this process, I'm starting to see a lot more like there is a a beautiful union trying to happen right now too. You know, some of the really nice things that we on the higher levels, maybe pre-incarnation, pre-embodiment, we had planned to do here that are more in alignment with not so much a cleanup effort as gifts.
Exactly.
Gifts, divine gifts that we chose, that we wanted to bring, the beauty that we wanted to bring in to share.
Yes,
you know, it's not all about cleaning up the dirt, you know,
no.
There's beautiful stuff happening too.
I think that aligns very much with what I was seeing October, but November energy update, where now it's starting to become, you know, the internal work is being done, has been done with the first waivers, whatnot, but now this action of this beauty coming out of that creation that we've had during our awakening journey is now being able to start to be expressed, even if it's just an idea in your head about what you want to do for, I don't know, let's say a business or something, or how you want to express your spirituality to the collective. But even if it's that nugget, but it's starting to be manifested out, to your point.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm even seeing things like energetically. So even, you know, how it would express out through here, I think is just, you know, on my human level, it would just be my nature, my personality, maybe my socialization with other people. But behind it, you know, there's some templates of some very beautiful things that affect our soul being.
Yes.
On a larger level. So I'm kind of become more familiar with some of those, and they're beautiful, you know, and oh my goodness.
What I'm picking up, and which seems to make some degree of sense, is that those templates and those beautiful things, then they're showing this interesting, you said it, you're talking back here, like, and they're showing coming in from the back and coming into us, and then we are able to express that out on a higher level as a human. So we start actually behaving subtly differently in the things that we do day to day. So we bring that also back into our day-to-day reality.
Yes, yes. Agreed. Yeah, I believe that there is a, you know, I think we've talked about this. There's so many names. I don't really even want to get into it as so much, but we have discussed in the past, like how when we maybe our larger being or higher or in a different dimensional being decides that they want to incarnate or embody here for a particular reason. They all, whenever I hear these stories, I was reading a book here recently with a chapter about, I don't know if you're familiar with Sanat Kumari.
I've heard of it. I'm not familiar.
The Logos. Okay. It was his story, and they all are similar in the sense that telling their decision why they wanted to come to help humanity or to help this, they're always discussing how they left their beloved. They call it the same thing. They discussed it and left their beloved because it's a separation. So they decide mutually whether or not it's worth it, right?
Yep.
And so we talked about this before, like one staying behind and one going out. I don't know if it's a separation of them. I'm not exactly how sure that, but his in particular has kind of resonated with me recently because I've been getting a lot of information about Venus. We'll come to find out Venus is his partner, I guess. The energy of Venus is his partner. So
whose partner?
Sanat Kumari.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was listening to the story, and there is this energy. Now, there is also a template that we were talking about this a few months back, almost a year ago, about there being a template for union, like the template of those who are pairs. There is a template of all of these embodied right now through at least one of us, right? So,
right.
So I thought, okay, that's interesting. Why would we bring it here unless maybe I'm thinking there might have been a plan to, once we reached a certain level, for there to be a joining of the one, right? A union of some kind. And I said, I got a yes on this. And it was supposed to be an incredible increase in frequency and the environment here to have these two, because these two in union are very, very, very powerful. These two and all others, basically, because there's usually a stay behind, right?
Okay,
is
so
usually stay behind.
I just want to clarify, when we're talking about coming in union, are we talking about
I'm
kind
seeing
of,
what I'm understanding.
or
Yes, it's
the
like
twin?
twin. I guess you could call it that, or counterpart, or they just call it their beloved. I don't know. It's
Okay,
their,
or your
but
soul, but okay.
together they are more unified. They're much more powerful, right? Together, when they're together, they're. So what I'm seeing is that stay behind energy at some point here would be able to join here. That's why they brought the template here. You see what I'm saying? So
I think so.
it would be able to join in this environment and enhance this realm, this planet, this humankind, because the partner wouldn't necessarily need to stay behind. The partner could actually be here once the frequency or the elevation of the planet, the environment, whatever, was conducive to that. Does that make sense?
I'm kind of confused.
Okay.
Well, it's just probably me, but we're talking about two embodied souls.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But I even see okay, so I see them when they come in, they don't drop in one dropping in. They drop in on dimensional levels.
Yes.
So I think there's something, and I'm doing this by what I'm visualizing, kind of picking up on conceptually. It might not be exactly perfect, but this is how I see it. When they come in, at least to this realm, there's 12 dimensions. Yes. And so when they come in and they almost like they dimensionally drop 12 to get into the body. Okay.
Oh, okay. To actually incarnate then is what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like even you and I are, if we're only talking about this realm, we're a 12th dimensional being.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So there's 12 of us operating on 12 dimensions within this. And then of course
within the human
hundreds. Yes, okay. There's hundreds more, right?
But the human. So you're talking about as we're embodied, incarnate, we're working, and I just want to make sure I understand this because I'm seeing something, but we're working we incarnate through the 12 dimensions, but then are you saying we have then access?
Yes, we have aspects on all of those dimensional levels. So sometimes even like with commanders, where you find out, oh my God, I have an aspect that's like in a spaceship going around and I'm a commander this and Lord that and so and those you drop aspects as you descend into here, and we're still the same being, but we stay in dimensionally higher. You're observing from a dimensional level that's higher, but still in the same. So dimensionally speaking, Sanat may have a human body walking around on the planet, but he's also the logos, right?
Yes.
So for them but he also has his partner that he left in order to commit time to this planet, into this realm. So what I'm saying is I'm seeing the template here now in this realm that it is the template for all. Some of these beings have been helping this realm for eons, and I'm seeing the template is now here, and I'm wondering, why is it here if not to allow instead of the separation of some of these, the multidimensional outside of this realm, to not at least come in and have some form of union on some dimension of some of those dimensional levels. And I got this huge swell of love and tingles and excitement come through me when I had this thought. So I thought, okay, they're telling me yes.
Yes,
right?
And I'm getting a visual now of this with this. It's almost like they're showing, oh gosh, I don't know how to explain this, but they're showing it like the template coming in. It's like is encasing us. It's almost like a bell jar over a plant. I know this sounds nuts, but they're showing like a template coming in, allowing us to work within that arena.
Yes.
And okay, so this also ties then now to why, and I tend to bring things right back down into human experience. So what I'm also seeing in our human experience is a lot of people now are starting to combine in with their counterpart, whatever that means.
Yes.
And I
Or,
don't,
you know, they say soul family, you know,
yes,
there's a lot of,
soul family, soulmates, twin flames.
yes, your
You know what?
tribe, they'll
You don't
say.
need to
Yep.
label it, but your tribe, your,
Yes.
exactly.
Mhm.
And okay, so now they're giving me more information. This is why, and we can go back to COVID. Oh God, I have so many chills. Activated so much for us to change, because right now, a good example of this is so many people are leaving their jobs. So many
Yes.
are shifting and leaving. I mean, because we know why. Oh God, I have so many chills on this. So that's an example of like realizing, okay, the soul saying, okay, this is not your counterpart. We're going to go find your counterpart, or where you're ready
Yes.
for your next, to reconnect in, where you're really going to be divinely activated into your truer purpose or mission. I don't know, that just came through.
Yes. I keep hearing this home. They keep saying home, home. We're bringing home to you. We're bringing home to you.
Yes, that's the bell jar. That's the,
Um,
okay, that's the, and I have chills. You know what I'm talking about, a bell jar? The
yes.
glass thing that goes
It
over a
protects.
terrarium?
Yes.
It goes over a
It
terrarium,
protects it. Yes. Mhm.
that they're showing.
I love it.
Oh my God, I do too. And do you have chills?
I love it. Yeah, I got it. Like as soon as you start talking about, we're talking about this, I'm just getting like, it's just coming in. And because, you know, we were talking about this. I said, you know, I'm getting like these flashes. I don't know what and I just kept throwing words out at you, and you were able to clear up so much of this, kind of not clear up, but help me understand it a little bit more. But there was a twin flame energetic, I think they said. And they said, yes, you're like, it's in you.
Yes.
And there's something about the twin flame energetic is like housed within you. And I thought, okay, well, that's why. And then I started thinking, why is it here? What is it, you know? And so that's what I was keep thinking. There's some of these really beautiful reunion kind of home loves, you know, people beloved, you know, they say you're beloved, you know, the way they talk about each other is beautiful too. It's just one of these things you read. I was reading and listening to some channeled information about, you know, just telling their story. They speak about each other in such an amazing way. It's just very beautiful the way they love each other, right?
Because the thing is, they understand they are one. They understand that
Yes.
there's no disconnect. Plus, they also, this is just coming through, they also understand themselves, so they can feel that way then about the other. Does that make sense? Like, in other
Yes.
words, our journey in awakening is to be able to love ourselves, because we can't love others the way we're meant to until we love ourselves fully, right? And so that's this whole awakening journey. So what I'm getting for them is they very much, the higher beings, and of course we have some that aren't at this stage, but the point is, these higher beings, these energies that you're connecting in with, they have that established, so they can feel that.
Yes.
One other thing I was going to mention too, that they said before we get too far, when we saw the bell jar, or that the framework for us to be able to work within, they said the environment is set up. The environment is set up. So when you think about a terrarium and a glass bell jar coming down on top of, you're setting up the environment, right, to work within.
Yeah. Yes, and they're cooperative, they're loving, they're you imagine in communion and connection to more of your being. It is just a explosion of like ability, right? So here we are in this highly creative stage, putting this together, right? And what would be more beneficial than that at this point, you know?
Exactly. Oh gosh, they're showing now. Well, there's a lot of energy around this conversation. Okay, so they're showing, we're just going to keep going with the terrarium visual, the bell jar. They're showing, this is so cute. I love how they give these metaphors. They're showing little lights, and they're showing fireflies. Okay, in the terrarium, all these fireflies. Now they're in the environment and they're floating around, and oh, they just said they come into union. Oh, because remember what fireflies do. Fireflies exist to mate, basically, right? But they're showing their light in the meantime. They mate, and then, you know, then they're the oneness. But anyway, so they're showing our light, our fireflies, and now we're and they're showing this in the collective, where, well, they just said we're aligning with those of likeness. This all makes so much sense, but it's, you know, this happens all along the journey, right? In fits and starts, like but what I'm getting with this is a very explosive time for this now.
Yes.
Moving into the new year, they just said.
Okay.
Moving into the energies of the new year. Yeah, okay, they just said yes, yes, yes. There's a reason for that. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep going here for a minute. So now they're showing like a racetrack. They're showing horses in the gate. Okay, the rider and the horse are now together. Okay, they're showing horses in the gate ready to go, and it feels like a spring thing of 2022. But I mean, something energetically like where we're out of the gate, and when we do this, when we have these moments in the collective journey of great energetic explosiveness and something shifts dramatically, what they're showing happening, and we talked about this before, is it accentuates the tug and pull from the old to the new, right? And it makes it even tighter, or I don't want to say tighter, more disparate.
Yes.
And we see the differences even more. And what I'm getting, it's like, and they're showing like a pulling of a rope, until it breaks and snaps. So again, this is going to be more stress on the human condition and the collective as we see this, what we're seeing as beautiful coming togetherness. We're also going to see the opposite be more extreme. Does that resonate with you?
It does, because it's funny, because it's not, what you're saying is not just energetically. I can actually, there's characters playing the roles, the very roles of what you're describing right now. They're not all physical. Some of them are guides, or, you know, those beings that drop in, but there is actually a, you know, we don't think about it maybe being that way in higher realms, but there is a missing, that other, you know, that separation there. They feel that too. I'm feeling from them that they do feel that. They do actually miss the one that's gone, even if they're not in time. Yes. They miss them, and they want to see them again. They are kind of standing there waiting to get in there, right?
Yeah. So okay.
Like.
So what they're giving you with that is, this is so interesting. This expands the union concept. So what we're talking about, oh God, I have so many chills, and I haven't even said this yet. So we think about union and tribes and all this in our human 3D world with other people. This is a bigger deal. This is about reunion and union with them too, because, they just said the missing link, like, like we're the missing link. Oh, okay. In order for the expansiveness of they keep saying the multiverses to actually occur, that's why we're so important to this, because we're a missing link. We're a missing link, and we're not in union with them. And when we're in union with them, oh my God, I have so many chills. The expansion that's going to happen
is going to be insane. Yes.
Oh, I have so many chills.
Yes. It is. I feel this so much, and I feel there was at one time something kind of crazy happened to me, and I was just like, what is going on? And it was somebody kind of just, they said creation got overzealous. Yes. I thought, well, what does that mean? But I think it was something, what we're talking about here, it was almost like they're ready to come in, you know, and they're not going to wait around for any foolishness going on here. They're coming. But I think there was a jump the gun situation, and it didn't end well. And we kind of had to figure that out. But that, I think I really feel that. I can feel the anticipation. I can feel the impatience, right? I can feel that coming from energies around me, above me, from different areas pulling. And so I feel like it's very much wanted from both sides of the, you know, veil. Let me just put it that way. I can really feel that. So, and I think in some ways it can be beautiful, and in most ways it will be beautiful. Right. But it is putting, I think it's setting some things in motion that are, you know, there's more frustration that it's not occurring, and some of the little things that are blocking are not necessarily, oh goodness, how do I say this? I don't know. There's stuff going on, you know. And I sometimes I wonder if it's my putting human things, you know, onto it, labeling it with human things, because that's my understanding of it. But it does sometimes look like jealousy a little bit. There's like, sometimes it looks like impatience, you know, there's little weird things kind of happening that are not necessarily letting this go down super smooth.
Oh, totally, totally agree with you. I am getting the words galactic gateways are being opened. And what they're showing me, they just said a rush. Like there's a rush to come in to accomplish this component of that. Like I just heard they're lining up. They just said time to come. Okay. Now time is, who knows when, right? But
wow.
Time to come. You're getting
a massive amount. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And they're showing this. They keep talking about lining up, and it's all different kinds of galactic energies and beings, however you want to explain that. And I'm got a lot of energy in me right now. You do too, don't you?
Yes, a lot. It's like a fire hose just opened. Wow.
Okay. Okay. They're talking about, I don't know where we're going right now, but they're talking about, they just showed the solstice.
Okay.
In December. And we know the solstices are powerful times. I mean, we always have massive shifts and changes during the solstices, but it feels like, they're connecting this to that, what we just talked about. The great, they're talking about the great lining up. Wow, they're all over. They're okay. So how they're trying to show it to me is, and they're being funny, but it might be actually what it looks like. All different kinds of starships, all different kinds of beings. Like it's like a conglomeration, a mass. Oh, they just said a mass conjoining. Wow, they use that word a lot. A mass. Okay, now they're trying to explain this. It's like a huge concert where you're pulling the masses in on a like, I don't know, in a salt flat or something, or Burning Man, or you name it, right? Like everybody shows up and they're waiting for that first song or whatever they do, right?
Yes.
And there's something where they're like on the outer edges right now, and they're starting to move in more. There's always been some that have been around, right? But there's something about now the energies that are they just said inviting the others. Is that making any sense to you? Do you have any framework for that?
They're inviting the others. Okay. I don't know. See, so this kind of sounds a lot like when I was having the really serious difficulty in my human body with so much interference of non-physical beings, different dimensions. I was feeling moved around, traveled, and I couldn't see because I'm veiled here. So this was almost similar to like what you're describing is what I was feeling. And I felt like there was it was too much maybe, or being done in a way that wasn't quite like, I feel like there is a perfect system for this. I feel like there is a way to do this beautifully. It's almost like if we do it in chaos, we're just going to trample each other.
Yes. So what I just got was there is some, and I think what I'm saying and you're saying, what they're talking about is over eagerness right now. There's a lot of, they just said anticipation. And so the others, what I'm talking about more is not the ones who have been so connected to Earth all the time, but everybody's been waiting for our move forward. And so the ones that, okay, they just said the doubting Thomases, the ones sitting back in, I don't know, a planet far, far away in time, going, this isn't gonna, they're not gonna do this. This is not gonna work.
Right.
We're going to launch our ships and head out over to Earth or whatever that means, our energies, but the metaphor they're using is launching ships. So now what they're saying is they're starting to realize this is a thing.
This is actually going down, right? And they're like, oh crap, we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta get over there.
It's just so funny how they give these funny visuals. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny. I don't know exactly, because sometimes she'll say these things, I'm like, oh crap, that sounds a lot like.
No, I know.
I was talking about this before. They said, they're lined up at the door. There's so many people trying to talk to you, and I could feel it in my body. So I'm like, why is so many people wanting to? And at some point I had to say, this is too much stuff. And my team was like, okay, only essential personnel in the house. And, it was just, what's going on? but that was right before I started having it was almost felt like a kidnapping almost.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I didn't, like I said, I couldn't see. I could only feel it happening. So I don't know exactly what happened, but that was an over eagerness as well. And that was kind of called, that's when they started using the word hijack a lot.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, something's going, there's other parties involved now, and some of them are impatient, or they're, wanting to maybe take the lead. I'm not sure, but I have, in the process of all of this, I've learned enough about the way that, some of the things that are housed within me that I chose to bring in. I've gotten in touch with my higher being, and I've been shown some of the things that were created, that were given, that were created as a gift to Gaia and the earth and humankind, and all that is, because as we know, what happens here affects everybody. Yes. So if it's given as a gift and embodied and brought here, it truly is a gift for everybody.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's here and it's embodied and it's beautiful. And that's what I was saying earlier. I'm trying to focus in and try to get my energy and my frequency into some of these really beautiful pre-incarnation plans that I had, that I'm equipped for. Try to focus in and get into that and start energizing that, even though there's some of this other kind of crazy, chaotic, overwhelming, stuff going on too, right? Yes. So although at first I was just looking at all of it, trying to figure out what happened, and I still am getting the stories that are going on around it. But for me, I think I will, on my human level too, find more pleasure and enjoyment focusing in on what I kind of plan to do anyway. Right. So trying to really get back into, what did I plan for myself before I came in here? What did I bring? What am I housing? And chances are highly likely that focusing on that, energizing that, and doing that, however that manifests through me, is what is going to bring me my highest enjoyment here. Exactly. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Yep. They're saying, reel it in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I thought, totally my personality, I would do that all day long, right? And love it. Here I think, well, maybe I brought in this template to help these beings that have been here for eons reunite with their beloved here. That would be totally up my alley. I could see myself doing that. Yes, absolutely. Right. Mm-hmm. So getting these beings to rejoin, find each other and rejoin totally would be my thing. Right. So totally. I believe that that's definitely something that I plan to do. Sure. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just trying to do it in all of the other stuff and not get too distracted or discouraged by it. Yeah. That's kind of where I've been headed, just because there is such beauty in some of these things, and some of the words that are so beautiful, the way that they treat each other, they respect each other, they hold each other in such, they really cherish it and adore each other. Right. It's beautiful.
I just heard there's no diminishment of the other.
Yeah. So it's, that's kind of my, I've experienced such the opposite of that through some of the experiences I've had in this life, that it's not good for me. It's not good for my soul to be in that energy, right? To feel it. It's just hard,
Well, and to your point that we're kind of, we started out making, and it's overarchingly about the conversation we've had, is this idea of, they just said mapping out your own destiny, being able to pick and choose and being able to be that creator. And, again, we go back to we talk so much about manifestation, creating your own reality, that we create from within, and then we see the without. Well, we can also do this in this. I mean, that's part of the journey too. What we're going through. Yeah. We can, it's just not the manifestation in 3D. It's this manifestation of this spiritual journey and what we want from it and what we choose to take into ourselves. We don't have to just accept everything.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That shows up at our doorstep. We don't have to ride all the rides on Disneyland.
Right.
If you don't like
See,
the tilt-a-whirl and you throw up on the tilt-a-whirl, don't get on the tilt-a-whirl.
exactly right. Exactly. Some of us don't even want to go to the carnival, right?
No.
So we want to be on the beach, right?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it's funny how it goes full circle, kind of comes back down to simplifying again, and then it'll probably expand back out into more
Right.
complex and
Yes.
come back into simple again. And then,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's this thing, and I think it's a cycle in itself, but
Okay, I'm
that's
glad
where
you
I
brought
find
that up.
myself.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because as we were
Mhm.
talking about this, what I wanted to bring up, and I didn't make a note of it, now you brought it up, is that the expansion, this expansion that we're talking about, happens in stages. And
Mhm.
what we'll have is, there's kind of showing bubbles, like a big expansive phase, and then kind of sometimes it's, well, what they've said before, 2 steps forward, 1 back, lots of times,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Or we'll have this expansive phase and then we'll sit there for a while. And I'm talking collectively, we know we have these individually, but again, all the individualness of us bubbles up into the collective experience, right? But what they're talking about massive expansion, but then they also talk about, to your point, it comes in stages.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it can't come at all at once, because the other thing they've talked so much about is, well, it's like, well, why don't we just do this all overnight and just give us our body? And well,
Yeah.
we have all the stuff we have to get through, but the point is we can't handle it that way. We can't handle
It's too
it
much. Yeah,
energetically.
I will attest to that. Yes.
Yeah.
You get too much at one time. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no
No.
insight. There's no, there's nothing really, you're not really processing anything
No.
at that point. You're in a state of like frozen because of there's just too much activity. Right.
Yes.
So I think that is absolutely correct. But I do also believe that there is they all say it's divine timing, there's a divine plan, there's a way. Well, I do believe that there is something that is much better organized, even if you want to just put it on this kind of on our level. There are people that organize events for a reason, because they're good at organizing, right?
Yes.
And if it's just a free-for-all, then it's not going to happen, right? But I do believe that there is a very well thought out and very well planned, and a lot of thought and love went into it. And if we can, I think sometimes we went off the cliff on that one, right? So,
yes, and what they're saying, in what you're saying, is that's the whole key behind faith, trust, and surrendering, being in the now moment and flow. In other words, if we can just go, wait a minute, there is that grand plan. We can have that kind of trust, to your point that you're making, and then lean into it and not get ourselves whipped up into the past and the future and all of that. Then we can have more of that experience of what you're talking about, is the plan, knowing the plan is there, all will be good and well, and we follow what's in front of us each day. Now, that's very simplistic, but at the same time. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I will say one thing, one of the big messages that I took away from this particular conversation is being able to manage your own spiritual awakening journey and manifesting what you really want to see as well. Now, yes, we have lessons, yes, we have learning, but what parts of that can we control? Are we a participant in our awakening journey, or are we just letting things or having things be done to us because we think that's the process? We don't believe so. So we're going to hit on that more, we believe, as we move forward in doing future videos. So I'll leave you with my website, purplerainhealing.com, where you can see all of my services. I'm a channel and a distance energy healer and a spiritual awakening mentor, and I offer a variety of services that will assist you in understanding your full soul journey, past, present, and future. So if you're looking for guidance, whether it be in your spiritual awakening journey, your general life journey, or just need additional perspective, check out my services, purplerainhealing.com, where I offer spiritual awakening mentoring, where we set those up regularly for you to work with me as much as you want or as little as you want. Additionally, I do channeled messages, whether it be on the phone or through document format, and I also offer distance energy healing. So check out purplerainhealing.com, where you can see all of my services. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.